Welcome to the Professor's Parlor, a think tank media podcast. Hosted by Dr. Berkita S. Bradford and Dr. Sherrie Tennessee, this is a space for real conversations about professional growth, career pathways, and what's next for hospitality and tourism. From entrepreneurship to industry leadership, and the lived experiences of students on HBCU campuses, each episode blends academic insight with real-world perspective. Pull up a chair. Let's get into it.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I am excited about another great episode of the Professor's Parlor. And so I am coming to you live from North Carolina. And I wanted to show, so it's homecoming this week at North Carolina Central. And as you know, I am not quite 5 feet. The audience is not. Yeah, so that's yeah, so I had to represent today, but I'm going to push my camera back up. So I'm excited about tonight's guest. So we're gearing up for homecoming at North NCCU and at Virginia State. So I am excited about tonight's guest. We have we have a fabulous couple with us. And speaking of them, they just joined us. Welcome to the Professor's Parlor, and thank you for joining us.
Good day, everybody.
Yes, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So I am, as you know, Berkita Bradford, and I chair the Hospitality and Tourism program in the School of Business at North Carolina Central in Durham, North Carolina. And so I am delighted to have you. And I have my co-parlor professor, Dr. Sherrie Tennessee, who is a friend and a colleague. And I will let her introduce herself, and then we'll let you introduce yours. Maybe you could introduce each other. How about that? Why don't y'all do that? All right. So, and this is an organic show. It is, I guess we would say casual. We like to chat, and we named it the Professor's Parlor because we want you to envision if you were at our house and we were talking. And that's the in our minds, that's how that goes. So, all right, Sherrie, let's go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sherrie Tennessee. I am the online coordinator, satellite liaison, and assistant professor for the online program at the Virginia State University in Petersburg, Virginia. So excited to be here tonight with my good pal, colleague, friend, Berkita Bradford, and I'm so excited for the conversation.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
let's introduce ourselves.
Yes, let's put the husband on the spot. Let's have him introduce the wife first. Let's see what he says.
Oh, not a problem at all. So first of all, thank you for having us on. We appreciate it.
Welcome.
This is an individual that you all need to get to know more. The audience definitely needs to know. No, she's phenomenal. She's not only a licensed general contractor, she's an Aggie herself. Oh, we just had a homecoming.
Yes.
She's a developer. She's a owner, very project manager, adjunct professor in her own rights. This is the lovely, wonderful Mrs. Karie Brittano.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yes,
I see
I'm
you.
not going to introduce
Aggie,
them.
but I see you with those eagle colors on tonight.
Listen, I was just trying to be, was nothing. I wasn't trying to make a standard declaration, but I love them all. I think all of us can work in tandem to do some great things.
I agree. So go ahead. Your turn now.
So yes, as my husband introduced, I'm Karie Brittano, and this is my wonderful husband, Julian Brittano, who is a accomplished actor. He's accomplished director. He also, is on this grind in business, has done a lot of things in hospitality. So, we feel we kind of have, a yin and yang, or a strength and balance of what, we bring and collectively do together.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I do have kind of a, I guess, a funny story. So when I first met you two in person during homecoming, I think someone had told me that Julian was an actor. Well, I don't watch a lot of TV, and just Well, that's not true. My television is like probably from the 80s and 90s, like Seinfeld, Friends, and I love HGTV, but I'm a music person and audiobooks. So we did a Zoom and I was looking and I was like, yeah, he looks kind of familiar. But I didn't really think a lot about it. And so then I said, maybe you should Google him. And so I Googled him and I was like, oh, he's like a real actor. And it was so funny because I said to my friends, I met this actor and his wife, and they were like, who was it? And I told her, and they were like, you're so goofy. Like, only you would like have no clue. And I was like, well, yeah, because I watch HGTV and I don't even watch it for the houses. I watch it for the destinations. I love House Hunters International. So
Right.
anyway, I did the old Google, Julian. I had to Professor, as I say, Professor Google. So, but we are delighted to have you, and we do have a limited
Thank
amount of time. And instead of preparing questions, and it's not that I didn't do my homework. I didn't really prepare questions. Instead, I guess they're kind of questions. As I said, I wanted this to be organic. So I know your story. And so I didn't want to only ask maybe what I didn't know, but I do know part of your story. And I think it's a wonderful one as well. So what I will say is if you would maybe just share like how you got into the hotel business and what that looked like, whatever you're comfortable sharing, the good, the bad, the ugly, the not so good. And for our audience, because one of the things that, we want folks to have long-term careers in the hospitality and tourism industry, whatever that looks like, entrepreneurs or so, as you said, contractors, which is such a boss move. So if you would do that, if you would share kind of how you arrived here, where you are now.
Yeah, I would love to share with you guys because it has been just as you said, a lifetime journey, or you have to really love and have a passion for this space. It's not for the weak or the unpersonable. There's a lot of intermingling, a lot of different, career fields, a lot of different, walks of life that comes with me. And so kind of like our relationship, our approach to the hospitality space was really a happy happenstance.
Okay.
You take the good with the bad and things. And my husband and I, we first got into, just in our marriage, trying to figure out something to do together, get into this
Okay.
entrepreneur space because, that's really the only way you're going to gain some generational wealth or, even take a bigger bite of some of the apples. So what was some of our strengths of each other? So we started with a facility in High Point. It was 60,000 square feet. My husband, being in acting, wanted to, utilize the space because it was in High Point, North Carolina, known for furniture, showrooms. It was beautiful. It had the vignettes, it had the spaces. So, when you walked in, you can see the vision of, okay, shooting, let's do some projects, And for me, being in the construction space, I was leading a team that needed to train installers, just all of the different just some of the different things that go into construction, setting up, staging, different things like that. So we were like, well, let's marry these two things together because, again, like hospitality, production has a lot of different pathways, career, it's a lot of interweaving, personnel that goes within that space.
Right.
So with our facility and just the buzz we were getting and the community engagement, because our target was really workforce development, we're strong in community engagement. We started hearing about opportunity zones. And that's when those words were still buzz hot topics. No one really knew the zone. It was no true designation. It was just this bubble, and you may be in the zone. Don't you want to know about it? We were like, okay, what about it? Tell us about it. And with that and what we were doing, we just learned a lot about even perform us. I was like, do a what now? We got to have a who now to do, wait, what's going on? And so they're like, okay, well, what you're doing, there's investment dollars and there's community dollars and there's tax incentives and there's things, and you can make this whole thing and get investors going and we can make this thing a thing. And we were like, okay.
Let's give it a shot, man.
Right. And well, with him, he is a jump off the cliff action. You have to be in this actor space.
Absolutely.
No fear. I was the one in the back, logistic minded. Like, I don't know what's going on. Just look, show me. Let's see how this can work.
But that's the thing about it, is like in hospitality, my background is really events. I come out of nightlife, restaurants, lounges. I started out in security at 15 years old, bouncing at a women's club. I could say just like
that. I love to tell this story. I'm like, you don't have to share everything.
I know. It's just people gotta know the context of where all this comes from, right?
We may have to do part two.
So I'll speed past a lot. Okay. So when I pivoted into acting in 2015, a lot of opportunities, a lot of doors started opening, and fast forward even 5 years from then, one of my friends who was at Wyndham at the time, he reached out. He said, man, what you got going on? You ever think about getting into the hotel space? And so I'm like, how? Like, what are you talking about? Hotel? How? I don't have enough money to get a hotel. He's like, no, it's different ways. You just got to be strategic and very skilled at putting together your deal, but it can be done. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem, whatever. We'll talk. I'll talk to you about another time. So lo and behold, my wife was doing, like I said, the adjunct professor work at the community college here, Danville. And I believe it was the dean or the president of.
He was president of business at the time, and Brian. He was just an integral part of even telling us about the hospitality space, because in that gap, he left out COVID. Okay, yeah. COVID crushed and changed the trajectory of what we were doing, how we were navigating, but the knowledge we gained in that time of learning about development, capital stacks, just the components that go within a successful capital stack that actually has, workforce development, community engagement, meet those matrices that a lot of these incentives have to comply with. We just knew we were onto something.
Right.
So in that COVID transition, I was working at Danville Community College, doing adjunct professor work for project management. And Dr. Davis at the time was like,
Dr.
Brian Jackson.
Yeah.
There's so many doctors just like yourselves. We just align ourselves with the right people that really, mentors. That's all I can say to mentors. They bless you in more ways than you can imagine. And we didn't know that what we were doing was so heavily based in this hospitality space, in event space, and how that is a business model. And we're like, oh, okay. So he said, there's a hotel in South Boston. It's a historic project. I know you guys were trying to kick off some things prior, but check it out. See if you have some interest in the project. So we were like, first I said, Boston? And my husband said, no, South Boston. I said, well, what's the difference? What do you mean? That's a far way to go to see this hotel. He said, no, honey, it's like 30 minutes away. And I was like,
yeah, that's like Manhattan, Kansas and Manhattan, New York. Nothing alike, nothing.
Right. We always hear it too when we say South Boston. They're like, oh, great. I was just in Boston. We're like, okay, further south. But we kind of just learned about it just in knowing people, just them knowing our heart, our ambitions, just seeing, how some networking, as he mentioned, talking to his friend in Wyndham, those were people we reached out to when we heard about this project. We leaned back on some of our people that we knew this possible opportunity. What do you know about boutique hotels? What do you know about rural markets? Are they successful? Is this something we should even consider doing? What do you think? And so a lot of our mentors, they looked at it with us. We spoke about it, and we went to one another and said, this is a great opportunity. It has the community engagement piece. It has the opportunity for growth. And once we got into it,
Mhm.
we seen the opportunity for scale
Right.
because there's so many communities like this community who needs an
Yes.
anchor.
So I'm going to jump in
Mhm.
and kind of pivot the story a little bit. Actually, I did learn something. See, that's why it's good I didn't have like prepared questions. So what I keep hearing as the professor is you were learning, 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 learning. And a lot of it was, I'm going to say trial and maybe a little error. So both Sherrie and I, we every day it's our goal to impart knowledge to our students to prepare them to kind of maybe not have some of these pitfalls that the two of you faced. And so with that said, I want to segue into if one of you would speak to how do you think or what do you feel, how do you feel you could have benefited from, say, matriculating and studying in a business school in the space of like hospitality and writing the business plan and what all of that looks like if that had been laid out to you? Because I'm not sure that our young adults understand and appreciate that. And I'm not dumping on them because I've been 19 before. You don't know that you don't
Mhm.
know at 19 until you're 29 and 39 and so forth. That's as far as I'm going to go. But
Mhm.
at any rate, because I think that, and in particular, the elephant in the room, or not so much, is this has been something new for folks who look like us, or as I say, people who do not pay for a suntan that was kissed by the sun. Because what I'm finding is we're getting in a space where more and more of us are interested. Because when you said I didn't even realize this was hospitality, and so there are so many opportunities, and Sherrie and I both are at HBCUs, historically Black colleges. And I want my
Mhm.
students to know this, and I want them to go after, everybody knows about being a lawyer or being a doctor or being a teacher or whatever that looks like. But if one of you could speak to how much more or how sooner you could have done this or whatever, if you had been able to, even if it were through continuing education, say like some weekend courses, extended through continuing education at a university, if one of you would talk to us about that.
I can take that because I'm a constant re-educator of myself. I think that comes with embedding on yourself, but a way to relate it to a lot of the young adults now and to get them involved to me is to show them the entrepreneur side or the business side because they all have a hustle. They all have some type of, drive and aligning that with their actual passions and showing how they actually work hand in hand is what that connection needs to be. Given true, okay, you're an influencer, you like your phone, you like, you'll get on and market someone's outfit. Well, you do know you can sell or be a brand, and that brand could be this or that. It's like even showing them the systems that go with the actual, you just find it fun, but there's a whole, if you apply the system, make beyond what you even thought, it's that business acumen, I think, that everybody needs to know.
And I really,
And I
really
think
appreciate. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Julia.
okay, so one of the things, like, to add to what Karie was saying, is she's absolutely 100,000% right. Right now, way AI is and data and how they use the tech, all the tech to create the content. It's all about the content. It's the content society we're in right now. When we were having the conversation in 2019, having to go to legislators, going to these folks, trying to get them to understand and see the value in a craft commerce economy. It was all this pushback, you know what I mean? And it's like now we're here where it's all about transferable and stackable skills in content creating. You see, because every company requires these skill sets. Events, one of the lost arts is in-person events because of social media, because of COVID, because of these things we've dealt with over the last 5 years or so. It forced everybody to kind of get into their own, individualized bubbles. But then when you just meet somebody in person and you just show them a human touch, it's
Absolutely.
like you change their lives. So
Mhm.
again, going back, that goes back to what I was saying with coming from the event space and understanding the value of having these engagements, understanding experiential marketing and all these
Mm.
components. It's all industries and sectors. So it all works for the good of the student or the participant, whoever is
Mhm.
involved. So we just see the value there.
Okay. And that is so rich what you've shared. I am obsessed with this lady on I think it's a real, but it's faithful. And I can't remember her. She has one of those two names. It's something Renee, and she has 9 kids. And I am always watching her cook. I mean, it's amazing to me when she cooks. And it's funny because I am just caught up in how she presents the content. Because not only do I not have any children, much less 9, I don't even cook, but I spend all this time watching this watching this lady. I like to watch her, but I'm not inspired to cook at all. And then I'm just amazed at how she does it. And she is so happy when she's doing it. So, but I do appreciate you sharing that. And that is something that perhaps I can take to the classroom and one of the things I did this semester in teaching intro to hospitality is I am teaching it through the lens of whatever concept I introduce, like tourism, lodging, I introduce it like, how can you have this as a career? And I can honestly say, like, this is the most engaged that I've had in a while. Even one of my students told me it was so funny. He had a kind of a hiccup and he was like, I was like, I'm gonna have to drop your class and I really like it. And I kind of laughed. I was like, well, first of all, you don't have to drop the class for one thing. We can work through this. But it was really valuable feedback because I just decided, I was like, if this is boring to me, I know it has to be boring to the 19 and 20-year-old. However, there is theoretical knowledge that they need, but it's my job to figure out a way to present it. So, and I always say hospitality is the one area where you can, like, we can all leave here and open up a business in a few minutes. Like, it could be events, it could be food. We could literally do that with very, I mean, you really could. So we are at about we have about 8 minutes left, and I have done all the talking. So I am going to see if the other professor that's in the parlor would like to, ask you some things. But we could really go on and on, and that speaks to the work that you've done. And I just love you. You truly are, the yin and yang. I like that about you, and it just presents for a really good conversation. So unfortunately we only have so much time, but it does really present for a good conversation. All right, Dr. Sherrie, it's tag, you're it.
So the question that came to mind for me as we both teach at HBCUs, and when we talk about hospitality, a lot of times it's more going to work for someone else versus creating your own opportunities or looking for that ventures. Can you share a little bit of maybe your biggest successes and your biggest challenges as hoteliers so that students are aware and can consider this opportunity versus I want to go work for a company versus I want to go have my own hotel? So with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
That kind of was the phrase that pays. We heard getting into the workforce side of things. I don't want to work for, I want. And we're like, well, you still have to have the things in place, and you have to know the structure to work with me. You can't just so that's kind of the part. You like, you don't have an experience yet, so how about you learn? But either way,
Very true. Very true.
That's the realest thing right there.
And I always say practice on someone else's money. Like, I'm like, Marriott, they have more money than you. Hilton,
Exactly.
Maggiano's, learn with them. And then, yeah. Go ahead.
I will say, if you want to know, like, greatest hurdles or greatest, setbacks for us is exactly what you guys mentioned, not having that actual curriculum or structure-based knowledge of what we were getting into. We kind of we got our master's in hospitality by working, we kind of got it through. Maybe if we thought about this 5 years prior or so, we knew people in this space, but we wasn't talking to that mentor to that degree.
Yes, if we're gonna be we being transparent, right? What we're saying here. So, and what she's saying, I agree with. Getting into this space as people that was kissed by the sun. Those are two different blocks of
Two
curriculum.
totally, yeah. Two totally
And
different.
with not having that for us, that was the challenge, because there was a lot of hurdles. There was a lot of hurdles that we had
there's
to
a gateway.
constantly.
You have to know the gatekeepers. Yeah,
You
you
have
have
to
to know
know
the
the
gate.
phrase that pays and the personal
Yep.
gatekeeper at every level,
Mhm,
because it's not
mhm,
just one. When you get to this next one, it's like they're
mhm,
listening out. Do you
Mhm.
know what to ask me? Because if you don't, I'm not going to share that next level.
mhm,
And if it takes you 3, 6, 9, you're going to learn that lesson of time and how much is valued when you
mhm,
don't have that knowledge gap. So I will say,
mhm,
in this, use your youth to truly get to school and to get a mentor. I think those are the two things you need to really
mhm,
latch on. If use your hustle, find a mentor, get the actual property. I don't care if it's 2 years. I don't care if it's a training course. I don't care what it is. You could meet somebody who just have a tutorial for 3 months. You need to actually get some formalization of what you want to do.
Yeah.
Period. Like
And-
you can, I don't care who you are. At the end of the day, those is the things in place.
Love
It
that.
don't matter what you want to do, you have to have it.
Yeah.
So just even starting in that point, and no, you don't necessarily have to work for, but you do, because
mhm,
time in the industry is how you become a subject expert, is how you become the person you want to be. You're not going to be there out the gate. And if you are, it's going to still be things that happen that you're learning while you're at that level. And don't you want to know now, like you said, of someone else's dime, and we're not
Exactly. Yes.
pay that fee for that knowledge. Make money while you learn. That's
Just
why
for
I
the
really feel
Yeah,
it's benefit.
yeah, it costs to be to not have knowledge. It costs. And so Karie, you may have just gotten an invitation to speak in my class, because this is what we're trying to tell them. And and I think it's a wonderful thing. But what I do admire about the two of you, and I appreciate, is you have gone and you continue to go through, trial by error, school of hard knocks. As one of my old deans, who is now an Aggie, he used to say, we're building the plane while we're flying, that type thing. And so I
Absolutely.
do admire that you're very given. You're always willing to speak. You're always willing to impart knowledge. And I think that that is the beautiful thing. Is I say often, when I was younger, like, I didn't necessarily know I was naive, but I knew I had to listen to my elders, if you will. And I benefited so much from that, because it was things that they would tell me that I would listen. And even if I didn't, I would maybe roll an eye or be like, yeah. But there was just something that I thought was like, okay. And now I look back and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. So we are getting, I am a huge football fan, as most folks know, and we're approaching a 2-minute warning. And if you're a football fan, you know what that means. If you're not, then it means nothing. But at any rate, as I said,
You
this
playing
could
the
go.
wrapping up music. Wrap it up.
Yes, that's it. That's it. And Julian said he used to be a bouncer in the club. That's that's that last song. That's that last song that you play and everybody. So I this has been awesome. And this is Sherrie. Now you see why I didn't prepare any questions, because I knew they were going to bring it. That's why I didn't prepare any questions. So I am going to let the two of you land the plane. And if there's anything you would like to share, and and I look forward to seeing you on campus soon. It won't be as soon as we thought, maybe, but I do look forward to seeing you on campus soon. And but before you land the plane, please, 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 reintroduce yourself, share your name, the name of your company, and things like that, so that folks know exactly who you are, because we just kind of jumped in it, and I don't even think we really did that. So let's make sure we do that. Now let the two of you land the plane, and you know what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, we do appreciate it. I'm Julian Brittano of the Brittano Group and the Rook Hotels. Yes, I act. I get to do that. Have a great time doing that. I produce. I direct. I do a bunch of creative things. But one of the great things I get to do is work with this woman right here with our company and building, developing hotels and all type of cool projects.
Well, thank you again for having us, Karie Brittano. And again, with the Rook Hotels as well as Brittano Group, I would say, my words to the students is don't think you're too big for the system, but do want to see holes and poke holes and be a part of the change in the system too. At the end of the day, utilize this time to find your mentors, because your mentors are going to mean more and get your life more than some people you may think are your friends. So I would just say, stay the course and stay focused.
I agree. And that is so rich. And when students at this point in life, people are more willing to lend themselves than later on. And that's the part that sometimes I think, unfortunately, students don't understand. I have a mentee to this day. I met her probably, I don't know, it's been over 10, 15 years ago, literally on an airplane. And she and that's how it started. And probably had she not been a student, if I were flying today, I probably wouldn't even talk, because I don't really like to talk when I fly. I want to listen to my music or my book, or watch When Harry Met Sally. Don't tell nobody. I watch that movie every time I fly. And You've Got Mail, I watch those every time I fly. and but at any rate,
you like what you like.
Yes, I do. And When You've Got Mail, and it's so funny, that's one of my favorites. But again, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for entering into the Parlor. And hopefully one day we'll have, we can have a real Parlor, not virtual, and we can serve you up some good things. But this has really, really been awesome. And Dr. Sherrie, do you have any parting words before we sign off?
No, thank you. I think it was so powerful to share like the realness of it, the challenges of it, and getting, taking advantage, getting that mentor, which I think is so key, and getting that experience and knowledge is what is going to grow you in this industry. So thank you so much for sharing your insight.
Absolutely. And continued success. Yes, and continued
Thank
success.
you.
And I look forward to staying in one of your hotels one day.
Yes, someday soon. Come on.
Right.
Okay.
Hopefully you wanna,
Absolutely. Absolutely, Julia. Speak it into existence. Thank you, guys. Take care. It was a pleasure seeing you again. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for spending time with us on the Professor's Parlor. This podcast is part of Hospitality Nexus, a global human-first platform bringing the hospitality ecosystem together in one place. Inside the Nexus, it's a career fair that never closes, connecting industry leaders, educators, students, employers, and partners through real presence. Watch every episode of the Professor's Parlor inside Hospitality Nexus at www.hospitalitynexus.org. Stay curious, keep the dialogue going, and always lead with the spirit of hospitality.